Hello and welcome back to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi, dated 26th April 2025. In today's session, we will cover 7 important topics that are gaining national attention and are highly relevant for both your prelims and the mains examination. They have featured prominently in today's edition of The Hindu and the Indian Express newspapers. Our first topic is minimum support price, a persistent headline in the agriculture policy debates. We will explore the structural concerns of the MSP regime and the way forward. Then we will look into the challenges of the border management in India, a pressing concern given the country's long borders. After that, in our simplified section, we will take up 5 articles and we will try to explain them in simplest language possible to enrich your understanding of the newspapers. Additionally, we have also incorporated some prelims pointers, which is going to be very crucial for your upcoming prelims 2025 examination. So have a look on them also and stay tuned. So let's start our discussion with the first topic, that is minimum support price. The context of this topic is that the Chief Minister of the Madhya Pradesh said that the farmers who will engage in the stubble burning will not be eligible to get the benefits of the minimum support price as well as the Chief Minister Kisan Kalyan scheme. And under this Chief Minister Kisan Kalyan scheme, eligible farmers get 6,000 rupees per year. And it is on a similar line as the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi of the Government of India, which is a flagship scheme under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, where again the central government provides 6,000 rupees in 3 equal installments of 2,000 rupees each per year. And all the farmers who have the land, they are eligible to get the benefits of the PM Kisan. So all the land holding farmers are eligible to get these benefits under the PM Kisan. More than that, there are some exclusion categories or the excluding categories of this PM Kisan. For example, all the institutional landholders, that for example, the land corporations, for example, the government, they are excluded to get the benefits of this PM Kisan. Apart from that, there are some other exclusion categories, like let's suppose the people who have paid the income tax in last financial year, as well as the people who former or the present constitutional post holders, like the president or the vice president of India, and the professionals, they are also excluded to get the benefits of the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. And coming back to our discussion on the MSP, that this particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 3 agricultural pricing. Now what exactly is the MSP? That is the floor price, or it is the minimum price for any crop that the government considers as remunerative for the farmers and hence deserving of the support by the government. And it is also the price on which the government agencies pay whenever they procure the particular crop from the farmers itself. But there is no legal guarantee for this MSP. For example, the government now fixes the MSP for 23 crops, but they are not legally bound to pay this MSP even when the market price falls below this MSP price, right? Because there is no statute or law by the government of India or that has been made by the parliament which is making it mandatory or which is legally mandating to procure the crops under the MSP. So this was one of the pressing demand by the farmers as well as the farmers organization, that there should be a legal guarantee that in time of any contingency or sharp fall in the prices of the commodities or the crops, there should be a support, mandated support, legally bound support that should come by the government of India. That is the legal mandate that the farmers were demanding. Now, another question that should come in our mind, that why actually government is procuring under this MSP? There are various needs of the government. For example, to provide benefits under this National Food Security Act 2013, where there are priority households as well as Antyodaya Anna Yojana beneficiaries. The priority households get 5 kg ration per month and the Antyodaya Anna Yojana beneficiaries get 35 kg ration. So to provide this support under the National Food Security Act, government procures under the MSP. More than that, government also tries to create a buffer of the stock of the food grain so that in case of any contingency that may arise in future, the government can have at least sufficient amount of food stock with the help of which they can provide support to the necessary persons. For example, the buffer that we are talking, that let's suppose COVID-19 came, that was a contingency, and at that point of time it became very necessary. The industrial activities taken a halt. Obviously there were a lot of population who do not have even the proper meals to eat or proper food. In that case, the government launched Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, where the 5 kg grains were provided over and above under this National Food Security Act. And how government was able to provide that? Because they have procured under the MSP. Now, the second question that will come in your mind, that how exactly government is calculating this MSP. The government is calculating based on sum of explicit and the sum of the implicit cost that farmers incurs while growing the particular crop. For example, one such cost is A2 cost, which covers all the cash and in-kind expenses which are incurred by the farmers on seeds, fertilizers, chemicals, hired labors, fuel and irrigations. Means all the cost which farmers are paying on the inputs that he or she is using on the crop production. Then the A2 plus FL cost, which is the actual cost plus an imputed value of unpaid family labor. What does this mean by imputed value? Imputed value means the estimated value of the unpaid family labor, which we have no idea at all. For example, as you know that in the agriculture sector, there is a high disguised unemployment that is there. In that case, there will be some of the family members which will be also participating in the growing of that crop. But they will not be explicitly getting some wages on a daily basis, the family members who is doing labor on that field. So that is why we are getting an estimated value or the imputed value of the family labor, the family persons who are doing the labor on that field itself. Then the C2 cost, which includes A2 plus FL along with the revenues foregone on the owned land, rent and the fixed capital assets, that is the interest. For example, instead of growing that crop on that field, let's suppose if the farmer has given that land on the lease to some person. So what will be the money that he might have got on that owned land if he or she has given that as an lease, means the rent he or she would have got. The second case is the fixed capital asset, that let's suppose farmer has spent 2 lakh rupees on installation of tube well or bore well or the input cost. So if the farmer have utilized that money in some of the saving instruments, some of the capital instruments, for example, if he or she has invested in some of the saving instruments like mutual funds, stocks or the bonds or any of the government saving certificates schemes, etc. So what is the interest he or she might have got? That is also a criteria that is incorporated in the comprehensive cost or the C2 cost. As of now, the CACP, or which the Commission for Agriculture Price Commission, they recommend this 1.5 times of A2 plus FL cost as an MSP. And this is the demand of the farmers, that it should be provided 1.5 times of the C2 cost, which is the recommendation from the MS Swaminathan committee. Also, MS Swaminathan committee said that the MSP should be 1.5 times of the C2 cost, right? Now, what are the categories of the crops which are covered under the MSP? There are Kharif crops, for example, paddy, jowar, bajra, ragi, maize, arhar, moong, urad, cotton, groundnut, sunflower, soybean, sesame, Niger seed. They are the Kharif crops. Then the Rabi crops are wheat, barley, gram, masoor, rapeseed and mustard, safflower, torei. They are the Rabi crops which are covered under the MSP, as well as the MSP for the torei is based on the MSP for rapeseed and the mustard, right? So they are linked to the MSP of the rapeseed and the mustard. Then the calendar year crops are the copra, dehusked coconut, jute, sugarcane. For sugarcane, there is fair and remunerative price which is recommended, FRP, and the MSP for the dehusked coconut is based on the MSP of the copra itself. And if you talk about the component based on the category of the cereals, that the 7 cereals or the category of the crops, there are 7 cereal crops, there are 5 pulses crops, and there are 8 oil seeds, as well as the cotton, jute, copra and the FRP for the sugarcane are the categories of the crop. More than that, one of the most important thing that you need to remember for your prelims examination, that government announces MSP twice a year and before the sowing begins for Kharif and Rabi crops in May and October respectively. Now there are so many MSP crops and you might find it difficult to remember all these MSP crops. And there has been several questions which has been asked by the UPSC previously related to the MSP crop, and specifically they have asked the crops which are covered under the MSP. So how we can remember that? We can remember based on this story. Let's suppose there is an UPSC aspirant like you people who got up in the morning and then he's having the breakfast. In the breakfast he's having some poha and the sprouts. With the help of poha, you can remember that the paddy, with the help of paddy, the rice or the poha is coming. Then the groundnut and that has, with the help of which the poha was made. Also, the shop where this poha was made is very health conscious, especially the health related concerns of the students is kept in mind by the shopkeeper, and that is the reason he is preparing this poha in the sunflower oil. So 3 crops you can remember with the help of poha. Then in the sprouts, masoor, moong and gram was there. So with the help of this sprouts, you should remember the masoor, moong and gram. Then this was the breakfast that the aspirant did. After that, in the lunch, he is going to have a full meal or the thali, in which there is roti, chapati, or the vegetable, the pulses and the rice. The chapati is made from mixed grain or multi-grain atta, and in with this there is wheat, jowar, bajra, maize, ragi and barley. This is the cereals with the help of which this multi-grain bread or multi-grain chapati has been made. And he is also having the mixed dal, in which tur, masoor, urad and moong are present. Also the sabji or the vegetable that the person is going to have is made from turai and soybean, and it is prepared in safflower oil. Safflower is also a kind of oil seeds. Then in the evening, he just started scrolling some YouTube shorts or the Instagram reels, in which he saw an actress, and that actress was wearing a cotton dress, with the help of which you can remember the cotton crop, which is again covered under the MSP. She was also carrying a jute bag. So jute is again one crop which is covered under the MSP. On that jute bag, there was pictures of the vada pav and the chai. So after seeing those pictures, the student thought, ki, let's have some vada pav and the chai. The vada pav is prepared in the mustard oil. So that is again a oil seed covered, and the chai is made with the help of the sugar, and for sugar and sugarcane there is FRP that is decided by the government. Also in the evening, as you people would be also aware of the fact that from 2025 examination, in the prelims form itself, the prelims application form, UPSC is asking about the hobbies of the student, and this student has written cooking as a hobby in that application form. So he thought that he already had a lot of outside food, and let's have something easier, or let's have something healthy. And he thought, I have already written hobby, that is cooking, let's pursue my hobby in the dinner. Then he is going to prepare a chilla. That chilla is having the sesame and the Niger seed, and the copra or the coconut chutney he also made along with the chilla. So with the help of this story, you can remember the most of the MSP crops which is being announced by the government. Now with the help of this information, can we solve this question that was asked in the prelims 2018? Obviously you just need to eliminate areca nut or the turmeric, and you will get the answer of this question. Similarly, this question that was asked in 2020, obviously government of India provides MSP for Niger, and it is calculated as a kharif crop. You can see here it is given in the kharif crop section. Also, some tribal people in India use Niger seed oil for the cooking. Obviously, this statement is a soft statement. There may be some tribal people about which we will not have sufficient information, because as of now we do not have every information about the lifestyle of the tribal. So that is the reason there are some tribal who uses Niger seed oil for the cooking, and all the three statements were correct. Correct answer was all three. Similarly, there was question in the 2020. You people tell me the answer of this question in the comment box, that what should be the answer of this question. So you can see that MSP is one such topic from where consistently there were questions that were asked in the UPSC examination. Now let's look into the journey of the MSP evolution. That there was severe food crisis in India that happened in the 1960s. Why? Because there was lack of availability of the foods, and after the independence, India thought to some extent that it is much cheaper to import the food grains rather than to produce in India, and that is the reason our initial focus was more on the manufacturing sector. More than that, if you look into the food crisis, there are some historic reasons also, because if you look into the region of Myanmar or the Burma, they have very good area for the pulses production. That also we lost before the independence. Then after the independence, when the India and Pakistan was separated, the East Pakistan region was an area where the high paddy production was happening. That also was separated from India. Then the West Pakistan region have very good canal connection, and that is the reason there was good wheat production that was happening. So since we have lost some of the significant areas which were very good in production of various crops, that has also made our situation abysmal. So to address that issue of the food crisis that actually started in the 1960s, we have launched Green Revolution. And with the improved high yield variety seeds that we were started using, with the increased use of fertilizers, especially the chemical fertilizers, improved irrigation techniques, we were able to produce our food grains to a larger extent, and we were able to ensure a proper food security for our people. That is affordable, accessible, and availability of the food grains was ensured. But after that, there was that there should be a price assurance. There were various recommendations that were made. For example, in 1964, the L.K. Jha committee was the first step on the agriculture policy. And in 1965, the agricultural Price Commission, which was renamed as CSAP in 1985. This was set up, and LK Jha committee recommended that there should be MSP or the agriculture policy, the agriculture price policy should be in place, and he recommended MSP or the agriculture price for the paddy crop. He also recommended that there should be reduction in the FCI role for the procurement, and the private procurement should also be promoted. And in 1965 further, ML Dantwala committee and the APC submits the first report, and in 1966 the MSP for the wheat was recommended, and in 1985 the Agriculture Price Commission was renamed as the CSCP. And if you look into this, the change in the MSP was first fixed for wheat in 1966-67 at rupees 54 per quintal, and in 1970-71 it was rupees 76 per quintal, and in 2020-21 it has increased significantly to rupees 1975. Whereas for the common paddy it was much less, and in 1970-71 it was rupees 51 per quintal. It was rupees 76 per quintal, and rupees 1975 per quintal, and rupees 51 per quintal, as well as in 2020-21 it has increased to 1868 rupees per quintal. But there are some concerns related to MSP in India. For example, there is limited scope of the MSP. It is not covering major horticulture crops. More than that, it has been only limited to 23 crops that we have seen, and that is the reason it has been one of the major hindrance in the crop diversification, because farmers feel that when there is an MSP which government is providing, and that government is providing price assurance, so they are not motivated to shift or to diversify other crops, and that is the reason monocultural practices or the agricultural diversification is not happening. And the concentration to the few farmers, as per the Santa Kumar committee, which recommended or gave its report in 2015, only 6% of the farmers are actually getting benefits of the MSP. So as you would be aware of the fact that 86% of the farmers are small and marginal, and out of those small and marginal farmers, majority of them are not getting benefits of the MSP. So as per the Santa Kumar committee, 94% of farmers are out of the MSP ambit, and that is making the MSP a less effective policy of the government. Also, the skewed crop focus, that it is leading to imbalanced cropping patterns, that farmers in some areas are not growing that crop. The crops, for example, paddy, which is water intensive crop, the water intake of paddy is much higher. But in the regions of the Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, why farmers are growing paddy? Because there is a price assurance, there is a government policy of the MSP. But that is impacting the ecology, that is impacting the environment, it is leading to groundwater depletion, and that is the reason you can see that some of the districts, as per this composite water index, the districts which are severe water stress, they are some in the states of the Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, as well as the Rajasthan. And one of the major reasons for this water stress that is visible in these areas is the skewed crop focus, or the monocultural practices, or the crops that are being grown in these states which are not suitable according to the climate as well as the soil as water availability in that region. Also, the role of intermediaries, for example, middleman, commission agents, and the APMC official, the APMC mandis, where the farmers are actually selling their crops. So there are some middlemen and the commission agents who also take some commission, and farmers have to give some commissions to them, and that is the reason these adhatiyas or the middleman also take some benefits, which decreases the remuneration or the profitability of the farmers. Let's suppose farmer got 1000 rupees for the sale of, let's suppose, 1 quintal of any of the cereal crops. He might have to lose some money for the middleman, for the adhatiyas, which has facilitated the sale in that APMC mandi. Then the fiscal burden on the government, also it creates a financial strain on the government's pocket because of the MSP, because here it is not, the price of the commodities are not market driven, rather it is being determined by the government itself, and that is the reason it is creating a financial strain on the government also. Also, the lack of storage infrastructure, that Santa Kumar committee itself suggested that there is need for private participation in the building of the infrastructure, because when the infrastructure building is not happening, whatever the procurement that is happening, you will find various pictures that these food grains are lying under the plastic sheets without any shade itself, and that is leading to loss of food grains, that is leading to wastage of the food grains. As per the Niti Aayog, every year almost 90,000 crore worth of food grains are being lost because of the lack of infrastructure, because of lack of proper facilities. And you can see with the help of this data also that, for example, farmers who are growing wheat in 2018-19, it was 33.6 million farmers, and these are the operational holdings who are growing wheat, and the farmers who sold wheat at MSP was only 4 million farmers. And also the smaller farmers has the least leverage in the mandis, that their bargaining capacity is not that good, and that is the reason they generally get less amount as compared to the big farmers. So what should be done? What should be the way forward? First of all, there is need for gradually expanding the list of the MSP. We need to incorporate various horticulture crops that can actually help in crop diversification, as well as it can also lead to large scale ecological and environmental benefits. We can also address various concerns related to the groundwater stress. Also, it will lead to move beyond the rice wheat crop pattern or the increased focus on the sugarcane, etc. Also, there is need for aligning the MSP crops with the market demand, because it will ensure that there is proper, because let's suppose there is bumper production of any of the cereal crop happened, but again when the government is giving a price assurance and the prices are not being determined by the market itself, that will create an issue for various other industries. For example, let's suppose any industry which is making flour, and as per the market demand, when there is increased production of the cereal, that company which is making the flour should get the cereals or the wheat at a lower cost, because there is increased production of the wheat. But since there is an MSP which is guaranteed, it is this prices of the cereals or the wheats are not being determined by the market itself, rather the prices will be much higher, and that might contribute to the overall inflation in the economy. So that is the reason there is need for evolving, or there is need for any mechanism that can help in aligning the MSP crops with the market demand, the demand and supply of the food grains, as well as overall demand, as well as the production. And there is need for focus MSP on the food security and the high impact crop. For example, the pulses. For example, the crops which are nutrient rich. For example, the crops like millets, etc. More millets needs to be incorporated, as well as the procurements of these crops which have good nutritional values, as well as the protein and various other health benefits are being given by the various crops. They needs to be procured at a much larger scale under the MSP. Also, there is need for optimizing the resources through the targeted MSPs. The farmers who are in actual need for the support of the government, they needs to be identified and they needs to be supported properly. Also, there is need for modernizing and the expansion of the procurement mechanisms, so that, because if we will ensure that the private partners are coming, private partnerships is happening, that will only be possible when the MSP prices will be more or less market driven, because then the privates will be motivated to invest in the storage infrastructure, as well as they will involve the more newer technologies with the help of which the post-harvest losses can be minimized. Also, there is need for minimizing the middleman in the MSP distribution chain, that can further lead to more profitability and remuneration for the farmers. And the MS Swaminathan committee also suggested various recommendations, that they suggested that working out a system that will lead to food and nutritional security, sustainability in the farming system, and that will also lead to enhanced quality of the food grains as well as the overall farms, and the competitiveness of the farm commodities also remain in the market. And they have also suggested that measures for credit and other marketing related steps, and one of the key recommendation was to ensure a minimum of 50% profits over the cost of production. And MS Swaminathan committee recommended 1.5 times of the C2 cost, but as of now it is more or less 1.5 times of the A2 plus FL cost. However, government also considers the C2 cost also. They also keeps in loop the C2 cost. They takes C2 cost as a reference. However, they are only announcing 1.5 times of A2 plus FL cost. And this is a mains practice question that you people can write from this topic. Our second topic is challenges of the border management. The context of this topic is that tensions on LOC were high, with the reports of small arms firing at different locations. And this is happening, these tensions are much high, especially on the backdrop of Pahalgam terrorist attack, which led to loss of life of 26 persons. And this particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 3, internal security challenges and their management in border areas. Border management can be defined as securing countries' borders with the interest of the hostile elements, and it also involves putting in place such system which can interdict such hostile elements, and that can also facilitate the legitimate trade of various goods and services. If you look into the borders of India, we have the international border with the Pakistan, which extend from the region of Gujarat up till the northern bank of Chenab, that is the Akhnur sector. And then we have the LOC, which extend from the Jammu to Leh, and this is mainly, this line of control is after the 1948 and 1971 war, and this can be also called as the ceasefire line. This is the de facto line or the control that both countries actually have at this point of time. Then the AGPL, or the actual ground position line, which extend from the region of NJ 9842 till the Indira Call, which is the northernmost point, and this is almost 110 kilometers. Then we also have the borders with the Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, as well as various other countries. So what is the importance of this effective border management? First of all, the counter-terrorism, because India, because of the support that various state and non-state actors are providing to the terrorism, it becomes very difficult to effectively manage our borders, and that is the reason there is need for effective border management. Terrorism can be defined as the use of violence against the non-combatants, and especially to achieve some of the political or the ideological objectives. And there is no any internationally agreed definition of the terrorism. And India has one of the victim of the terrorism, especially the state and non-state actors like the ISI of the Pakistan, which support the terrorist activities in India. And there has been credible evidence which has been also provided by India to Pakistan as well as to the whole world, that the terrorism which is emanating out of the Pakistan, whether it is the 26th attack in the Mumbai, or it is the recent Pahalgam attack, there are credible evidences that Pakistan has been one of the safe harbors of the terrorism as well as the supporter of the terrorism. So to actually fulfill the counter-terrorism activities or the counter-terrorism operations, it becomes very prudent, or it becomes very important for ensuring that there is an effective border management that is happening. Also, effective border management limits the organized crime. For example, time and again you will see that there are various reports of arms dropping along this region of Punjab as well as the Jammu and Kashmir. There are various reports of the opium or the drugs, etc., that are used, that are traded, the illegal trade that happens along these borders. So with the effective border management, we will be also able to limit the organized crime, because time and again there has been the evidence of the relation between organized crime and the terrorism. That organized crime supports the men and material to the terrorism, the networking that organized crime have, that supports the terrorism. More than that, the cases of the narco-terrorism, which is visible in the region of the Jammu, that money that is coming with the help of the narcotics that is being utilized for the terrorist-related activities. So to address that, the effective border management is required. Also to suppress the cross-border insurgency, the insurgency that is happening, the arms people are taking up. To address that also, the effective border management is needed. Also to preserve the sovereignty of India, because of the geopolitical situation that we have, the location that we have such hostile neighbors. More than that, the northeastern states, where there are again various insurgent groups, like the demand of the Bodo lands or the ethnic violences that happens in the Manipur, and there has been again various reports that some foreign hands are also in those ethnic violences. So, and there are the Naxalite activities that has happened in various states of India. So to address to preserve our sovereignty, to ensure that our territorial integrity is intact, we need to ensure the effective border management. We have to ensure that there are proper systems, there is proper intelligence, there is proper vigilance happening on the borders. Also to regulate the migration. For example, the refugee crisis that happens, whether the refugee crisis that happened in 1948, 1971 war, or even the recent Rohingya crisis, or even the Myanmar Junta government came in, that also led to influx of various refugees in India. To address that migration, there is also need for effective border management, because if we will not regulate this migration, if we will not have a proper surveillance on these migration, that can create law and order situation, especially in the bordering districts, which was also visible in various northeastern states. And there are challenges in the border management with various states. For example, with the Pakistan, we have the disputed area like Sar Creek and the LOC, which is there in the this Gujarat area. This is the Sir Creek dispute. Then we have the Kachativu Island disputes with the Sri Lanka. We have also New Mure Island disputes with the Bangladesh. And also, if you look into the other challenges, the terrorist intrusion from the other sides of the border, there has been various satellite imageries about the various terrorist launch pads which are located near to the LOCs, and the insurgency in the Kashmir along the LOC, that has been also time and again. There has been reports that they were supported by the Pakistan. Also, the proximity to the Golden Crescents adds the threats to the drug trafficking. This region of the Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle, India is sandwiched between two. So obviously there is high chances that the organized crime drug trafficking will impact the India. Also the fake currency and the arms trafficking. After the demonetization, fake currency to some extent we were able to address, but still the arms trafficking that is happening. The movements of drones, airdropping of drugs, arms, ammunition from Pakistan that we have discussed. Then with the China, we have the non-demarcated border, the line of actual control that is between the India and China. So there is no clear demarcation, there is no clear fencing, and that is the reason there are so disputed area time and again that creates the disputes between two countries, whether it is in the Arunachal Pradesh or at various other places. And that also led to Galwan crisis, or that where we have to lose lives of our armed persons. And the complex topography of the region, the hilly regions, as well as the lack of proper plains, that also makes it difficult to ensure that we are demarcating those areas properly. The high border areas infrastructure investment from the China, whether it is the CPEC corridor or the building of various highways etc. near India borders, that is also creating challenge for India. The claim of China over the Arunachal Pradesh, then the aggression of China in the Ladakh area, and the smuggling of electronic and other Chinese goods that is happening across the borders. These are some challenges related to India-China border. Then with the Bangladesh, we have the porous nature of border, and which is leading to the drugs trafficking, arms trafficking, as well as the trafficking of the people and the livestock. And there is difficulty in identifying the Bangladeshi nationals, and change of profile in the border areas because of the continuous influx of the refugees, which impacts the overall demography of the bordering states. The human trafficking that is happening, the smuggling of cattle, drugs, arms, fake currency and the gold. With the Myanmar, we have the free movement regime, and there are various insurgent groups which take benefits of this free movement regime, that they will be involved in some of the illegal activities, Naxalite activities or attack on the armed forces they will do, and then they will go back to the Myanmar by taking benefits of this free movement regime. Then the proximity to the Golden Triangle creates the challenge of the drug trafficking, porous border with weak infrastructure along the border areas, hardship in border patrolling due to difficult terrain and the dense forest, and the illegal migration due to Rohingya crisis which happened recently. With the Nepal again, we have the misuse of the open border by local criminal gangs and the external state actors like China, Pakistan for destabilizing India. Time and again, we have seen that various people whom the Indian agencies are looking after, they just go back to Nepal. There has been various terrorists who have came to India by taking benefits of the porous border of the Nepal. Smuggling of arms and ammunition are happening. Illegal immigration for the economic reasons, that all is also one of the challenge with the Nepal. And the territory disputes like Kalapani and the Sasta region, that has been also one of the reasons which were not sorted between India and Nepal. We have with the Bhutan, we have the tri-junction dispute, that is Doklam, use of Bhutan territory by insurgent groups for anti-India activities, porous borders leading to smuggling of goods such as Bhutanese cannabis, liquor and the forest produce. So that is one of the major issues with the India-Nepal. There has been various government initiatives. For example, in the technologies were used, comprehensive integrated border management system that will be deployed across the Pakistan border, that will integrate the manpower, sensors and the command and control to facilitate quick responses in case of any contingency or untoward incident that is happening. It will have the counter infiltration cross-border terror attacks by using the technology that can detect the infiltration via land, water, air and tunnels. And there will be border villages that will be developed under the Vibrant Village program that can actually help in ensuring that there can be some watch in the infiltration activities. Here under the Vibrant Village program, the activities will include construction of infrastructure, housing, tourist center, road connectivity and support for the livelihood generation. And additional funding will be provided to the other activities. Then the bold QIT, that is border electronically dominated QIT. interception techniques, which comes under this comprehensive integrated border management system, and that will be involved under India-Bangladesh border. It will include the technical systems under the CIBMS, which will enable the BSF to equip Indo-Bangla border with different kind of sensors, and these sensors can detect the infiltration or the smuggling, etc. And then border infrastructure and the management, that for example government approves the continuation of central sector umbrella scheme border infrastructure and management from 2021 to 25-26, and with the rupees of more than 13,000 crore, and this will help in creation and infrastructure such as construction of border fences, border floodlights, technological solutions, border roads, border outpost, company operating bases that can help in keeping a proper watch on the borders. And what needs to be done, what is the way forward? First of all, we need to address the administrative challenges, for example, which has been recommended by the GP Bhatnagar committee, because there are various confusions. For example, let's suppose Assam Rifles, okay? There is the dual control of the Assam Rifles under the Ministry of Home Affairs, as well as the Ministry of Defense controls this Assam Rifles. So that leads to confusion. More than that, there is lack of inter-agency coordination. There is lack of coordination between different agencies. So there is need for addressing the administrative challenges. There should be clear demarcation of their roles, as well as there is need for promoting the coordination between the agencies. Also, there is need for addressing the infrastructure bottlenecks. We need to develop the roads across border properly so that the men and material can be provided in the time of contingency properly. There is need for technological integration. For example, biometric identification needs to be done, can be done at the borders to actually identify the illegal immigrants. Non-evasive inspections like use of radar, sensor, etc. needs to be done so that any cases of intrusions can be detected properly. Also, there is need for enhanced surveillance. For example, cameras and the intrusion detectors can be used, and cross-border collaboration for sharing, that can help in sharing the information between the agencies across the border. Timely collaboration or the sharing of information needs to be done. Border area development needs to be done, because when there will be more people living along the borders, that will also lead to building of the infrastructure, and that will also lead to promotion of the human intelligence across these borders. And there is also need for inter-ministerial collaboration, which has been recommended by the Madhukar Gupta committee, which was also formed to look into the various challenges related to the border management. With the more in an inter-ministerial collaboration, we can utilize our resources very well, and that can also lead to a proper border management. There are so many questions that were asked from this topic of the border management in the mains examination, like 23, 22, 2016, 24, 2013. And you can write one question related to this topic, and that question is this. In our simplified section, first topic is Indus Water Treaty and the Shimla Agreement in abeyance. What exactly this means, and this is related to your GS paper 2, India and its neighborhood, effect of policies and politics of countries on India's interest, and this has been covered in today's Indian Express, page number 11. So in retaliation to Pahalgam, a terror attack, India has decided to hold Indus Water Treaty, which was signed in 1960, and the involvement of World Bank was there. And this has been kept in abeyance, as well as various other diplomatic measures were taken. For example, the missions size were decreased, whether in India or in Pakistan, or the various Pakistani nationals has been asked to leave. And the term hold in abeyance does not find mention in the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties of 1969, a multilateral treaty which regulates the treaties among the nations. And this Vienna Convention on Law of Treaties of 1969 actually recognizes the termination word or the suspension of the treaty, and with Article 62 providing the fundamental changes of the circumstances on the ground of termination. And if you talk about this Indus Water Treaty, there is this eastern river Satluj, Byas and Ravi, annual flow before the entering Pakistan. India will have full rights on all water, and Pakistan can use whatever the flows into its territory. Whereas the western rivers like Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, the India can use only about the 62.2 cubic kilometer, and the 170.3 cubic kilometer is reserved for the Pakistan. And total area of Indus basin, if you look into, the 47% in Pakistan, 39% in China, 8% in China, and 39% in India, 8% in China, 6% in Afghanistan. And if you want to just remember this Eastern River, you can remember with the help of mnemonic BRS, that is batsman Rohit Sharma, and rest all are the Western rivers, that is Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. And if you talk about the Shimla Agreement, which has been kept in abeyance by the Pakistan, this was signed in 1972 in the aftermath of 1971 India-Pakistan war, and where the Pakistan lost and the Bangladesh was created. It primarily deals with the two things: how bilateral relations are to be conducted and the recognition of the line of control as the de facto border. And the pending of the final settlement of the problems between the two countries, neither side unilaterally alter the situation, and both shall prevent any act that is detrimental to the maintenance and the peaceful harmonious relation. However, Pakistan was not following the Shimla Agreement, whether it was the 1999 Kargil war that happened, Kargil attack which happened, or even after that there was consistently ceasefire violation that Pakistan was doing. So even the Shimla Agreement was in practical sense was not being followed either by the Pakistan or by India, because whenever Pakistan was doing ceasefire violation, India was also giving proper response to that. And for all intents and purposes, the Shimla Agreement has been dead for a long time. In fact, even the ongoing suspension of talk between the two nations can be seen as the breach of the Shimla Agreement itself. And the Pakistan suspending the treaty only means that it no longer recognizes this LOC, that is the line of control. And what was this Tashkent Declaration which was signed? So here in this Tashkent Declaration, which was signed by the President of Pakistan and the Prime Minister of India, Lal Bahadur Shastri, here the both sided will agree to exert all efforts to create good neighborly relation between the Pakistan and India in accordance with the United Nations Charter. They have been also agreed that all armed persons of the two countries shall be withdrawn not later than 25th February 1966 to the positions that they held before 5th August 1965. Also, they both have agreed that relation between both the countries shall be based on the principles of non-interference in the internal matters. However, Pakistan time and again was interfering in the internal matters. So again, Tashkent Declaration was not being followed by the Pakistan. Also, both countries have agreed that they will discourage any propaganda directed against the other countries and will encourage propaganda which promotes the development of friendly relation between the two countries. Again, this was not being followed. Apart from that, there has been various other agreements under this Tashkent Declaration which was aiming to improve the conditions or improve the relation between both the countries. Moving towards the next topic, that why Crimea matters to Russia. This is related to your GS paper 2, bilateral groupings and agreements, effects of policies and politics of countries on India's interests. And this has appeared in today's Indian Express, page number 11. So earlier this week, the President of United States, Trump, pressed Ukraine to accept a peace deal under which the US would reportedly recognize the Crimea, which Russia seized in 2014 as the Russian territory. And formally accepting Crimea as a part of Russia would reverse the major American foreign policy positions. And earlier G8, under that G8, the Russia was also part. But after the Russia annexed this Crimea, the Russia was taken out, and that G8 became the G7 countries. And experts have pointed out that while it may be acceptable, even reasonable under the circumstances, to concede an indefinite illegal occupation of the Crimea, it is quite another thing to officially condone a change of Ukraine's national border by the force itself. And why the Crimea is important for the Russia? First of all, let's look into this is the Russia and this is the Crimea, which is located in Black Sea. Also, with the help of this Crimea, the Russia can have also better access to the Mediterranean Sea as well as the other parts of the Asia and the Europe. So that is one of the major reason, because the Crimea is gateway to Mediterranean, and with the annexation of the Crimea, Russia have a better control or the better access to the Mediterranean Sea as well as the other regions. Also, quest of warm water. The Russia coastline stretches more than 37,000 kilometers. However, much of it is to the north of the Arctic Circle, which is more or less completely frozen. And this Crimea will actually help in ensuring that Russia have access to some of the warm water. More than that, this is one of the port, that is the Sevastopol, because when there is warm water, it have a better access that the trade can have at the better rate with the help of this Sevastopol. More than that, the other ports are shallow ports where as compared to the Sevastopol. So with the annexation of the Crimea, Russia will have access of this Sevastopol also. These are some of the reasons. For example, the Black Sea port of the Sochi and another in the Krasnodar Krai in the southern Russia are fairly shallow and require ships to moor offshore, whereas the Sevastopol lies at the heart of Crimea's importance to Moscow, especially since the disintegration of the Soviet Union, and the control over Sevastopol was central to the tensions between Russia and the nascent Ukraine, which was created after the 1991. Also, there are various other reasons. For example, in the current war, when Russia attacked the Ukraine, Russia actually wanted to secure the control of the Sevastopol, so that tomorrow, and more than that, there was apprehension that Ukraine might join the NATO, and that will further create tensions for the Russia, and that is the reason Russia attacked the Ukraine. And with the Russia attack on the Ukraine, Russia wanted to secure the Sevastopol. Also, the new dispensation that took power in the Kyiv following the Maidan Revolution was expected to push to join NATO, and that is the reason. That was one of the apprehension of the Russia, and that was one of the reason, as said by the Russia, that they attacked the Ukraine. Also, Crimea is arid with the insufficient rainfall to meet the needs of its roughly 2.5 million population. So, erstwhile USSR had built 400 kilometer of long North Crimean Canal to carry water to the water of the Dnieper River from mainland Ukraine to the peninsula. And that is the reason when Russia have invested so much, they have built the infrastructure, and that is one of the reason why they want to have the control. And by freezing the Ukraine's political map as it stands today, US will secure Crimea and the canal for the Moscow for the long term. That is the impact of the proposal which Trump gave. Also, various commentators have noted that it would be geopolitical suicide for the Ukraine to accept the Trump proposal, for once Putin and his army have won a breather, Russia is certain to conquer all of the Ukraine. Tomorrow they may conquer all of the Ukraine. And others have circled back to the concern that making such a concession to Russia would set a precedent for China to walk into the Taiwan also. And this is the basic location bit of the Black Sea, Mediterranean Sea. You need to remember the bordering countries of the Black Sea and the Russian and the Mediterranean Sea, because that can be asked in the prelims examination. Moving towards our next question, that is DRDO makes headway in the hypersonic technology, and this is related to your GS paper 3, achievements of Indians in science and technology, defense technology, indigenization of technology, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu page number 10. So the DRDO on Friday announced a significant milestone in the field of hypersonic weapon technology with the demonstration of long duration active cooled scramjet subscale combustor ground testing for more than 1000 seconds. And what exactly is the difference between turbojet, ramjet and the scramjet? That turbojet uses the compressor blade. This is the picture that you can see that they are using the compressor blades. This is the turbojet engine. Whereas the ramjet use the shock waves, no moving parts are there. You can see that there are no moving parts either in the scramjet or in the ramjet. And again, scramjet uses the shock waves. They also do not have any of the moving parts. Then the speed range of the turbojet is subsonic to the supersonic. Also, the speed range of the ramjet is supersonic, that is Mach 3 to 6, and the scramjet, that is the hypersonic Mach 5 plus. And the oxidizer in the turbojet is the atmospheric air, whereas in the ramjet it is the atmospheric air, and that is the same case with the scramjet. That they are taking the air and which is acting as an oxidizer, which is helping in combustion. Also, the moving parts are there in the turbojet, whereas no moving parts are there in the ramjet and the scramjet. Ignition is self-sustaining in the turbojet, whereas the ramjet requires high-speed air intake for the ignition and the combustion. And scramjet also needs supersonic airflow for the combustion. The turbojet is applied in the fighter jets airlines, whereas ramjet is utilized in the missiles UAVs, whereas scramjet is utilized in the hypersonic missiles. Our next topic is World Food Program. This is related to your GS paper 2, poverty, important international institutions, and GS paper 3, food security, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express page number 14. So the World Food Program said on Friday it had run out of food stock in Gaza due to sustained closure of crossings into the enclave, while Gaza authorities said Israeli airstrike had killed at least 78 people in the past 24 hours. So this World Food Program is a UN agency which is fighting hunger. Since you would be aware of the fact that Gaza is enclosed and it have one opening with the Egypt itself, Rafah crossing is there. So with the constant Israel attack on the Gaza, it is leading to the intermittent supply of the foods, and that is leading to a crisis of the hunger. And this World Food Program is funded by UN members, donors, governments, and it works with the UN bodies like FAO, UNICEF, and it reports to UN General Assemblies as well as ECOSOC, which is again a body under the UN. And it is part of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. For example, they want to achieve Sustainable Development Goal of the zero hunger by 2030. So that is, this World Food Program is supporting that. It also, this UN Food Program supports the UN peacekeeping missions with the food aid, and it also collaborates with the United Nations, this HCR for the refugees food security. And headquarters of the World Food Program is in Rome, like the UNSFAO, and this World Food Program also got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2020. And in year 2016, World Food Program provided reach to 80 million people in 80 countries. They have supplied 16.4 million children with the school meals. They provided 4 million pregnant and nursing women with the special nutritional food. And they operated 5,000 trucks, 20 ships, 70 planes, day in, day out. 75% of its food from developing countries are being sourced. And they have sourced, this World Food Program has sourced 75% of its food from the developing countries. Majority of the food is coming from the developing countries like India. Moving towards our next topic, that is defamation, which is related to GS paper 2 judiciary, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express page number 7. So Supreme Court has said, the leader of opposition, you don't treat freedom fighters like this, especially the remarks of the leader of opposition on the VD Savarkar. And he said that the leader of opposition has actually said that Savarkar, a servant of British who received a pension from them. And that is the reason Supreme Court was listening a petition of the defamation on his this observation or the thing that he said. What exactly is the defamation? That means harming someone's reputation by making a false or the derogatory statement against him or her without the lawful jurisdiction. It can be spoken word or the written words. And to constitute defamation, publication of the alleged statement is must, because let's suppose someone said that. So this should be reported in the newspapers. And a single statement can give rise to both civil and the criminal defamation, and it is codified. Defamation, criminal defamation is codified in the Indian Penal Code section 499, and punishment of up to 2 years in jail is prescribed in section 500 of IPC, and it has been now covered under section 356 of the BNS. And intention to harm reputation is must for an act to qualify as the criminal defamation. And even truth is not complete defense. It is imperative to prove that the alleged defamatory statement was made for the public good. And the civil defamation can be libel, that is through writing, or slander, that is spoken word, based on the tort law, that is the law imposing with the civil liability. And it is punishable with the financial compensation. There can be some penalty that can be levied in the monetary terms. And damages are computed based on the probabilities. In criminal cases, defamation must be proven beyond the reasonable doubt. Section 499 of IPC says that whoever by words or by signs or by visible representation makes or publishes any imputation concerning any person intending to harm the reputation of such person is said to defame that person. And criminal defamation can attract a jail term up to 2 years without fine. And now this has been covered under the section 356 of the BNS. That was all from today's analyst. Thank you very much. All the very best. Keep studying.